his bachelor and master degrees in pharmacology and holds a PhD in toxicology. His main research interest is in medicinal plant natural product pharmacology, drug discovery, and toxicology. He has vast experience in evaluating cellular mechanisms of drug action and toxicity. He has served and continues to serve this university in varied capacities and on various committees. He is a member of several prestigious local and international learned bodies. Currently, he is the provost of the College of Health and Allied Sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our chair, Professor Martins Eko.
Thank you, MC. The Provost of the College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences, my boss. Let me also recognize the presence of the first Provost of the college, if my memory serves me right. The first Provost of the college, Professor S.Y. Mensah. Thank you for gracing the occasion. I must say that your commitment and your love for the system continues to inspire some of us. And we pray that God will continue to keep you in good health for many more years for us. Deans present, directors of directorates present, our distinguished speaker, Professor Nii Narku Quaynor, heads of department present, ladies and gentlemen. If you observe from the banner, you will see that the Vice Chancellor is the one that was supposed to be standing here to chair. But as we speak, he's currently out of the country on official assignment. And we also naturally expect the second in command to be the one to stand in, but again, pressing issues, you have to also take her away. And the mantle fell on me just yesterday afternoon to be here. And I will say, having been summoned by my boss to chair this gathering, who am I to say no? Especially when I haven't found another job. So I gladly accept to be the chair of this public lecture and trust God that we'll all live happy and satisfied that we participated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, therefore, to welcome you all on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and management of the University of Cape Coast, the University of Competitive Choice, to this public lecture organized by the College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences. I must say we have the rare privilege and opportunity today to listen to a man who has played an important role in the introduction and development of internet throughout Africa. Prof. Quaynor pioneered internet development and expansion throughout Africa for nearly 2 decades, establishing some of Africa's first internet connections and helping to set up key organizations, including the African Network Operators Group. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are aware, technology changes rapidly, shaping and affecting human lifestyle day by day. Some technological breakthroughs change the course of history, and we'll be listening to one of them, the blockchain, also the internet, and of course, artificial intelligence. A technological innovation of today will definitely become obsolete sooner or later, and the technology which is obsolete would have impacted the way we think and work today. We have the privilege of listening to Prof. Quaynor this morning on blockchain and decentralized computing. This lecture, I'm aware, has the potential to enhance record keeping, increase efficiency, and improve security in our university for sustainability. I congratulate the management and faculty of the College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences for creating this platform for us to learn, reflect, and record such reflections on the applications of blockchain and decentralized computing for the benefit of our university. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that research landscape has transformed very significantly over the past 3 decades due to technological advancements, evolving global challenges, and ever-changing societal needs. Consequently, the demands has placed on researchers have diversified, requiring unique skills and competencies to address complex issues effectively. I have no doubt that this public lecture will provide a wonderful opportunity for postgraduate and early career researchers, as well as the wider university community, to be inspired to imagine and create better future for everyone. Let this lecture reinvigorate our continuing aspiration to take on challenges and push boundaries and shape the future of our world beyond academia. Once again, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and management of the university, I welcome you all. And as your chair, I solicit your maximum support, maximum cooperation. As your chair, I solicit your maximum cooperation and support, even as I wish everyone an enjoyable and a very productive public lecture. Thank you.
And a round of applause as he makes his way up the stage.
Thank you. Let's kindly take our seats.
What a wonderful voice. Your chair and colleagues, I'm somewhat overwhelmed with the occasion, and it makes me recall some of the good things that we've tried to do here at Computer Science in UCC. I recall sometime in the 2000s, we, in a similar such auditorium, under the guidance of late Professor Lotte, we were able to, under adverse conditions, telecast over 34 megabits of the solar eclipse that passed through here around the 2000s. It's an indication, in my opinion, of the unusual capacity we have in the computer science and computing in general at UCC. Anyway, I'm a promoter of computer science, and I'm interested in evangelizing the importance of computing science in development, and so the teaching of computer science is a major aspect of my motivation. Today, I've chosen to show you how computer science sort of, is being used to create these new solutions that you hear about, like blockchain, and now focus on decentralized computing in this case. All right, I spent some of my time at Ghana.com, which is an accredited registrar, meaning it gives domain names, it lets you find web hosting, and maybe you want to keep your conversations silent, so it gives you certificates, and it's an aspiring payment service provider. But they do applications in this area, such as educational certificates. Most important, we want to show that we can make things in Ghana, so we embark on some manufacturing activity. This is how I'll try and do the journey. I'll try to expose what the technology is about, and then also point at the role of computer science in that, and show you exactly how the computer science is being used in the blockchain technology for at least Bitcoin and Ethereum. Maybe hint at some policy approaches for the naughty side of the social impact of these technologies, and introduce some new topics which will have equally, significant impact, which is decentralized identifiers and related to its verifiable credentials and even selective disclosure. Okay, and you can begin to imagine what that would be. Okay, not all algorithms are the same. Okay, the effort it takes to solve a problem can't all be the same. And it turns out that simple things exist and more difficult things also exist. To find primes, we have methods of doing it. But to factor an integer into its prime factors is very difficult. We don't have an algorithm. If you have a map of cities connected by roads, we call it graphs. Okay, so you have vertices, which are the cities, and you have edges, which are the roads. It turns out that to find the shortest path is really roughly number of cities multiplied by the number of roads. On the other hand, simply determining a path of a certain number of streets is unknown. It's called NP complete. Also, there are tight limits to what we can do. What we refer to as halting problem, first raised by Turing, says that you cannot play God. You cannot make a machine that for every other program can tell you whether the program will halt or not. Okay. The other one is decision problem, and is mentioned in Germany as Entscheidung problem. What it says is that you cannot have a machine that for every statement you make will tell you whether it is fact or not. Okay, so you have limits on decisions, you have limits on what you can compute, okay, in terms of our science. What we do is, these easy and hard problems are exploited, these concepts, to provide solutions, as an example in blockchain, and in the identity solutions I'll refer to. So, what really is blockchain without going into the technicalities? We see it as an ordered permanent records. That's it. It's ordered because it has some timestamps. It's permanent because it is immutable. And we can all imagine many things in life that you want to remain immutable. That's the basis of the numerous solutions and excitement we hear about blockchain. But what are those records? It turns out that records can be transactions, so clearly money is involved, or it can be replicas of some other physical things, and they have nice terms like oracle to describe it and so on. But those ones are atomic. They are memoryless, they don't remember anything, so it's just a transaction is concluded. You can also do the same for data. But it turns out that you can put programs also there. In that case, it becomes what we call stateful. It depends on what is in the variables of whatever program is sitting on the blockchain. Okay. To accomplish these things I've just mentioned, exploits networks, cryptography, consensus, which is a subject in distributed systems in computer science. Data structures, which is a subject in computer science. It touches on economics because there are rewards in this thing. And then it touches on contracts because the contract can live on the blockchain and respond to anyone who is behaving according to, we might say, the API of the contract. Oh, okay. How come my thing is not moving? Because I'm leaving you behind. Yeah, I just finished this. Next one. Okay, so I'll tell you to move it. Let's go on like that. Okay, so the question is, where are we for us to begin to mobilize to address whatever you see as issues here? Look at the diagram on the left. That is where the internet was in 1991. And you can see the multicolored things are in Africa. The multicolored things are, the yellow means that you practically have nothing, no connectivity. The green, in essence, means that you have email only. And the red is BitNet, some other kind of earlier network. Okay. But the purple is the one that had full connectivity, 91. The one on the right is a measure of, you might say, extent of penetration of blockchain, because the first blockchain was introduced with Bitcoin. And you can see Africa is blank. We have no activity. So from my perspective, what is happening around now is similar to 91 with the internet. Of course, by 2000, the whole of the internet had been covered. I mean, the whole continent had been covered. That was the effort we made to break internet here. But we have to address this particular, situation. Okay. Next one. So networks. I said it has many technologies, right? So I'll touch each of them and give you some feel as to it. Each blockchain node that you bring up, okay, it has seeds of peers, meaning places you can go and ask for a copy of the block. So when I start empty and I run it first time, I use the peers to go and ask them, can you give me the first block? And one or two of them will respond, okay, and then you have the block. Then you go again and ask. Okay. Then you can also do peer discovery, okay, meaning the active ones, you can find them through these your peers, and then you can start to ask for blocks from them. So you'll be asking for blocks from many people, okay, but it's the blocks you need. So if you're at number 10, you are looking for block number 11 and so on and so forth. This is what is going on. So you have ability to request blocks from peers, and also your code must have committed to respond to blocks from peers. So look at the situation. Everybody has his own set of the blocks. I have mine on my PC, you have yours on yours, etc., etc. So it's totally distributed, totally decentralized. Okay? But you may be at a different level than the level I'm at. Okay, so whenever I bring up my machine, automatically you start talking to people who have higher number of blocks to send it to you. That way you can have a full node. Okay. This is an example of a distributed and open shared database. Next one. We'll touch on cryptography. In this case, we need the ability, okay, to sign documents. Okay? And signature means that when I sign, you or anybody can verify that it is my signature. It cannot be anybody else's. So imagine that we have a technique to create two keys, one that you keep private and one that you announce to the whole world on your website. You can put it, in your email to send to everybody, so it's public. And that is what people will use to confirm that it is your signature. And these two keys are the opposites of each other. Okay? So you keep one private and you send one to the whole world. So we create a notion of signing a document which takes, that's your secret key, that's private to you, and a message, okay? And so you do an encryption, in essence, with your secret key of the message. So you transform the message with your private key. What you produce is totally different. It will look strange, but that is what you call your signed document. Okay? And then you have another ability that the one who receives this thing, if he's expecting it from me, then he can only use my public key to read it. Okay, if I sign it, you can only use my public key to read it. Okay? Which means that, imagine that I can check the validity of a signature if I have the original message to compare, and I know the public key of the person, because I can use the public key to unravel the signed document. Okay? I can use the public key to unravel the SIG, which looks strange. And when I do that, what I get must be the same as my message. Okay? In the case of Bitcoin, they use some particular digital signature algorithm called the elliptic curve. And you can just imagine you have a curve and I have a line cutting through. So I have two numbers, okay? And they are kind of inverses of each other, because when I read the X, okay, from one I can, in some sense, deduce the other. Next one. So to deepen the understanding, what is the hash? The hash means that I take the message and I create a fixed length digest. Oh, I can do that. I can just take every word and convert it to a number and add all the words together. Whatever I get, it's a digest. It will be a certain fixed length digest, right? And your document, if I do the same, will give me a different digest. But from the digest, I can never get the real information, right? So I can kind of do compression of this thing to a short digest. Okay. Next one. So, what is this signature, digital signature we are talking about? You have a message that you want to sign. I don't go and confuse the whole message with my, secret key. No. That's too big, right? Because the message could have been 1 million pages. I ain't going to do that. I will first take a digest of the message and get a fixed length, and then that is what I sign. So notice that the sender is on the left and the receiver, who can verify, is on the right. So the same document is sent, but I also send a signed copy of the hash. So when I hash it, then I use my private key, my secret key, to now sign it. Once you've done that, you got what we call a certificate. You've got a digital signature. Okay? And so the one who receives it will now have to use my public key to unravel it. So when you unravel it, you get another digest. The two must be the same. You know how to do the hash. So when you get a document, you do your own hash. Then when you receive my digital signature, you can unravel it and you should see the hash. So you can compare the two of them. This is how we sign. Okay, next one. Now, data structures. You are familiar with, I can't get contiguous storage to put your whole file there. Okay? But maybe if I chop it in smaller pieces, I can make it fit my disk, my memory, and so on. This is what we study here. That's what we teach you. Okay? So we all had to learn how to represent a file as a linked structure, where a piece then tells you where to find the next piece until the end of the file. So the beginning of the file is the top. And you notice that, therefore, that there is something called the information part and there is something called the link part. takes you to the next document piece and so on. Okay. So you are familiar with that. The whole blockchain is just one of those. The only difference now is that we will add some information about the next lower block in the top one. Okay? In other words, the information that there is, let's say, in the 1 Mark 2310, the digest of it, I will put it inside the one that we call the top. So there is a piece of the information that goes into the next block. So if you tamper with any piece of it, it will break. We're just using the hash, the same digest. Okay? So whatever information there is in the previous block, I will take a hash of it and I'll put it in the next block. So it becomes what we call tamper evident. Okay, next one. You'll see it at work. Okay, so in reality, if you look at the blockchain itself, the Bitcoin blockchain, it's not going around hashing everything. No. It doesn't hash the transactions. No. It does something else with the transaction. We'll come to that. Notice that it takes the headers, the portion that relates to what we call the metadata. Okay? And that is what it hashes to put it in the next block. So when you're at block I, you know the header, so you can make a hash of it. So when you are bringing the next block, I+1, that hash must be part of its headers. Okay, so the hash of the previous is part of the back, what is of the next header, which is referred to as the backward link. Okay, the payload, which is the transactions, what do? You try to hash two of them together, then the next two together, and end up, after you work with the tree, to get one single hash that covers all of the transactions. So you spread the transactions to, let's say, a power of 2, and then you pairwise, hash them. Okay, then you pairwise hash the next, and so on. So by the end, you get a single hash which secures or guarantees integrity. If anything changes, you will know. Next one. The next thing to share with you is, supposing all of us here, we are receiving transactions, and let's say we want to have a history of all the transactions that we received. What you might do is, because some of us may not tell the real transactions, so you have to have a way by which we as a group, we can agree on what the history is. Because maybe the person has a malicious program, so it doesn't behave exactly the same way that we profess that we should behave like. So there can be some bad parties here. How do we come out with an algorithm, a method, so that it is difficult for people to do that? And when they do it, we will know. Okay, so they have different techniques for arriving at consensus. Some of them you announce and everybody update their history. After some length of time, the history will all be roughly the same for everybody. The first example is what Bitcoin does, and it's called proof of work. Okay. They say, find that number called nonce, which is any number you choose. Take the previous hash, append to it all the transactions. So you are appending 3 things. Okay? A number you are looking for. You are looking for a number nonce that makes, when you append these things together and you hash it, you get something smaller than a target. Okay, so you have to work. You have to try the first one, then you try the second one, then you try the third one. In each case, you take the transactions you got, and you append it together with the previous hash and your random number you are playing with. Okay? And when you hash it, you are looking for it to be smaller than something. If it's not, go and try again. If it's not, go and try again. And that's called the proof of work. Bitcoin. Then there's proof of stake, okay, which says that I can't really trust any of us, unless you put money, deposit. And so it means if you misbehave, we'll take from your deposit, correct? Okay, that's the Ethereum style. If you want to run validators, you need to have 32 coins. And that means that with the current rough price for 2,000, then you need to have that level of money before 60-something thousand before you can do it. We have experimented with a notion of proof of presence, which seems to be effective in compliance situations. Okay? So if you are compliant with something, it will be taken into account and you'll be given a reward. So that gives an incentive for being compliant with whatever you are working with. There are other forms, like the hash graphs, where you just announce to each other after a number of clock ticks, and everybody has heard it. This consensus thing is a way of also rewarding. So those who have got the puzzle correct should be given some reward, right? So that we can invest in looking for that norms with the previous hash, and a set of transactions becomes, hash it becomes less than a target. And that means that we can also change the target. Okay, next one. So to change the target, there must be a mining difficulty. Okay, meaning the people who are working to put things on the block, they are called miners, and they keep, start from nonce of 1, nonce of 2, nonce of 3, and searching for the transactions that he's working with. You also have a different set of transactions, so we're all rushing to go. So there's a target. And if you look at the formula down there, that's what is the interesting part. Notice that he wants to, it says a block every 10 minutes roughly, right? That's what they are planning for. And so for roughly 2 weeks, he's going to calculate the total number of, let's say, time that is going to take. That will take 2016 times the 10 minutes. Okay. Now, he divides that, if you notice, by the actual time it took to produce 2016 blocks. So if that time turns out to be the same as the time, which is 2016 times 10 minutes, the next difficulty remains the same. Right? Meaning if the 2016 times 10 happens to be the same as the time it took to mine the 2016, it's one. Okay. So it will stay the same. On the other hand, if it turns out that it's taking you longer, okay, then you are getting a fraction. Okay? Because instead of becoming 1, this time down there is big, so the ratio will become a smaller number, and then your difficulty. Sovereignty will set interest rates. Okay, he will decide everything based on what the context says. But now you are getting currency substitution. You see? So even there, I'm saying you are being hit twice. You are being hit by your ability to collect tax being reduced because you have to work harder. Okay, and then you're also losing your ability to set, interest rates to control inflation and so on and so forth. So that's another significant substitution, currency substitution, that suddenly we have to pay attention to. Okay. So this is the blockchain bit. Let me share some new things with you that I think are of interest, and I want to motivate computer science related people to study in this area. So that's decentralized identifiers. There are some identifiers that you already use, which are global. Okay? For example, you have globally unique ones such as telephone number. Simply because they put the 233 in front, every country has a different one. It's unique throughout the whole world. Right? Global. Then we have email addresses, also similarly, because whatever your domain name is unique, okay, within whatever TLD it is. And if you assign the email addresses, they'll be unique, so it's also unique, and it's globally accessible. Then you have usernames on global platforms, So we've already gone to Google, so if you put your username, you can also, and IP addresses, these numbers that we use to move the packets to you are also uniquely assigned. And likewise, domain names as well. But there are other ID numbers. You have university ID, you have health card, you have club card, whatever. Okay, they are all identifiers. They may not be global, but they are identifiers. And when you manufacture products, you also must have unique identifiers. Okay. And you are familiar with this one, your URL, meaning the Uniform Resource Identifier. A variant form of it is what you call URL. You type HTTPS and that kind of thing, and it gets resolved to a unique page. You can't go to multiple pages. Every one of them gets resolved to one page. Yes, next one. So there is this organization called Worldwide Web Consortium, led by Tim Berners-Lee and a couple of colleagues. They have a new set of framework which I want to interest colleagues here. And it gives you a mechanism to create new globally unique identifiers for anything. In this case, individuals and organizations can generate their own identifiers. See where the thing is going. Before, we used to go and build a PKI infrastructure, public key infrastructure, so that there is central public key infrastructure to sign and give you keys. These days we don't. My phone can generate keys. So if you start like we did in Ghana, if you start a project like that and you don't finish early, you can be blown away. This also is coming. Today we depend on institutions to issue, but we are being told anybody can issue. Okay, so institutions can have many. Okay, so a centralized identification system may be challenged in future. Okay, because I can create my own and I can resolve my own. People can find me and they can know the things about me. So that's the kind of subject I want us to discuss. So I think it's a new area. Okay, and whoever creates a thing can exercise control over its content through cryptography. Right? Remember I told you public key signing? Okay, so I can, in essence, use that. I can challenge you that here is a string, sign it for me. And when you sign it, your public key is known. I can use it to check whether it is you or not, right? So is that not authentication? I can do that. Okay. So that's what it's coming. What does it look like? The same as you have your HTTPS : and then //. These two, they start with the keyword did, and then colon, then a name, okay, and then some string, which is like the actual identifier. So the whole thing is called a did. So if you create this did, next one, then it must be resolved to a document like this. It just looks plenty. There's nothing there. Okay? It just looks plenty. The first part defines, you might say, the reference. Okay? Because what standard are we referring to? W3C built it. So if you look closely, it tells you, oh, it is. You can find that detail at W3C, okay? And it's called DID version 1. That's all the top part says. The real stuff is the ones lower, and they call them properties. So the DID subject is the ID that you see there. Then this is the authentication things for the controller. Notice that somewhere there, he talks about public key, so he's telling you the type of key that he will use to prove that he is in charge. Okay? So that public key, he announces it there. So if, for instance, I want to modify this document, I have to sign something. I'll be challenged. Give me a random string, some words, and then say, okay, sign it for me. So I sign it. My public key is there. You can open it. If it's the same challenge string he sent me, then I have shown. Then I can modify it. Okay. But these things are called properties. So notice that From the deed, I'm able to get a document. Okay, and that document tells powers that people have, or what services are going to be provided from there. Okay? So if I issue my own ID, I can tell you, if you go to this website, then you can see your ID that I have signed. I hope you see the thing. So the power is coming back to you. Next one. So in essence, what we are saying is that a deed is associated with a subject, okay? And that deed can be put in a registry, maybe like a blockchain. And that deed must be able to resolve to a more detail that shows the control. Okay, that's what they call the deed document. So the deed document has a controller who can change it. Okay, and if you turn it into a URL, then the URL contains the deed, and I can dereference it to produce the original document. So it's an environment. We're creating an environment where you can create a deed, you can put it in a registry, and I'll show you can even pass it around to different people. Next one. So what are the other properties I didn't tell you? I only told you about the ID, then the authentication. In the authentication, you saw the controller and that kind of thing. So see, the ones that come when you make the reference to W3 is the core properties. So you've seen already the ID, you've seen the controller, you've seen authentication, but I'm telling you that I can put service endpoints. I can tell you where to go for the service that the deed, advertises itself to do. Okay. Then, of course, there can be extensions, and the Ethereum people have done an extension, and then they also have core representation, meaning which is the context bit that you saw. Okay. Next one. So now I'm going to go to verifiable credentials. What we mean here is that you may have many credentials, okay? But when you come to verify, I should not necessarily disclose everything about my age, for example. But I should tell you I'm 18. I should go to take my ID from UCC and give it to somebody else who then can verify. Meaning the ID has been signed by UCC by a key. So somebody can verify it by taking the UCC public key to open it. If he can open it and see the text, then he says he has verified it. So we now want to enable that sort of thing. So if I issue any of these things, credentials, then I can give it to a holder. Then the holder can give it to people to verify. Right? Because it's his now. You now can disseminate it. At the same time, you can keep it in a registry of his choice. The issuer also can put things in registry, and those who are verifying may go to a registry to verify as well. They don't necessarily have to go to the issuer, but sometimes they choose to. Next one. This is all we are saying. And this stuff is coming from W3C site. So you can all go there, hammer it, and begin to do things from it. That's how I choose to go about it. So the subject can create a deed, maybe for some work you've done, product you've made, and then take it to register. Go and register it at the registry. So that's the first basic thing. Next one. After you've done that, then there are some interesting uses, right? You can present it. See, so there's a deed. You can present the deed to somebody who may then choose to resolve it, okay, or check whether it is correct. So when he says he's checking for it to be correct, he's using the authentication request side. And there, maybe he'll be giving a string to the controller and asking the controller to sign for him to confirm. So when that comes, the signed response comes. If it is a correct one, then that's the verified response that you give to the person. So the person now may be allowed to modify his things, as an example. the controller can also, sign, he keeps his private key things, which he uses to do this activity. So between the challenge response and the sign response, you can also publish the proof. For example, if there's a claim that says that I'm over 18, I should go to prove it without necessarily disclosing the actual date of birth. Right? Because this is what we're saying, that is to be selective. So I should be able to work this so that it is clearly, some things can be, in some sense, not disclosed. Next one. So since I've already moved into claims, they associate with every subject. Deed has a subject, okay? So with every subject, you can associate a value, okay? So if the subject, we are talking about the subject's age, you might be able to have a property that is the age of the subject, okay, and you have the age. In this case, we have an example of an alumni of an example institution. If you have, let's say, a similar thing where the subject, the property there is date of birth, and you put a value there, you can also have derived claims, right? Because once you know the person's date of birth, you can actually claim a property that the person is over 18 or over 60, depending on what purpose you're trying to use it for. Okay, next one. So now, the person will have, a credentials, let's say, wallet, and there he has all the metadata that we've been discussing so far in there. Then he has the claims. So you may have the claim that he's a graduate of, you may have the claim that he's born on this day, you may even have a derived claim that he's older than 18 and things like that in there. But he also has the proofs, and the proofs are all about the signatures and the signing. Okay, if I say I'm a graduate of UCC, I must have been given something from the university, okay, that bestows that privilege on me. Okay, and that thing has been signed by the university, so I have it. Okay, and it can be verified, and so on. And then you have to have the proofs. Next one. Okay. So what do these things look? Look at the same part example, okay, but some particular credentials were used in some sense to make part a subject. Okay? And that was issued on a certain date. Okay? And it describes what it is. In this case, they are doing an alumni or something. Okay? And it also has who the issuer is. In this case, the university in question. But where is the proof? The proof is what is down there. Notice the nums I talked about is there. The random number you are using to find things is there. Then the signature value. At the time the thing was created, okay, it has a signature value. After you sign it, it became something. And it was signed by the creator. Okay, and the creator in this case is the university we are discussing, and he chose a particular key to use to do that. So I'm saying the proofs can also be there, and the proofs are all about this public key signature and being able to verify and so on. That's it. That's it. Okay? And it will tell you the type of signature it is, and there are different kinds of functions that you can use, and so on. So you agree with me that if I give you the verifiable credentials, you have claims, and you can have proofs for the claims, because you represent it like we described. Okay, next one. This is actually the last slide, okay, before I conclude, and it's trying to look at the life cycle, in this case, of a credential. A credential is just one, so it can be issued. Okay, you can give, transfer it around yourself, you are the holder, but you can also present it. That's repeatable, meaning you can keep on presenting it and so on and so forth. Okay, and then the verifiers are also there because there will be different companies
And they also can either as the issuer or as the registry. But the issuer can also revoke the things which are in the registry. Okay? So let me conclude the following way. I hope you've discovered that this is how computer scientists think. Okay? We may be funny, we may look like physicists, mathematicians, economists, businessmen, entrepreneurs, whatever. But this is how computing works. Okay? And it deals with solving problems. And for that reason, good education, in my opinion, irrespective of the discipline, is necessary for the success in technology age. Okay? So no matter what you are studying, you got to make sure you have that because you're going to a knowledge economy, so to speak. So if you don't have a base knowledge in any discipline, giving you technology is worthless. Okay? In fact, I might as well not give it to you, but make it around, have it around. Because you just experienced you are not in the knowledge age. And in particular, computing science education, in my opinion, is a treasure. Okay? And we need to invest and secure it. If you don't have this in the next 10 years, it's gone. It can become a tool to dominate you. And this is now my techno liberation kind of thinking. Okay? Now, blockchain is a decentralized with immutable records, and the consensus that we know will replace institutions with protocol. And decentralized identifiers are meant to give us all control, we the subjects, control, okay, over the identifiers that we create. And also, if we are giving some, we need ability to have them verified in a certain formal way. And at the same time, we need the benefit of being selective in what we disclose. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Let's